Yo! Sanjay Uchiha here, people. Giving you my review on Dragon Ball Super Episode 66, if I'm not mistaken on that. Of course, I watched it live, so credit must go to Herms98 on Twitter. Go check him out if you haven't. So, get into it. This episode's title is Showdown, the Unyielding Warrior's Miraculous Superpower. And I'm pretty sure everybody tuned into this episode probably live, probably without waiting for the subs, even though the Crunchyroll subs are going to be coming out in a bit, and I'll be rewatching this episode subbed in a bit. But I must say, this episode on a whole, from an action standpoint, it's pretty damn awesome, and the animation was definitely up there, but it kind of reminded me of episode 39 when Goku first pulled out the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, where it's cool to see, but when you think about a lot of the things in the episode, it doesn't make sense in a way. Like in the episode 39's cases, hit freezing time and Goku still being able to move while using the Kaioken. It's cool to see, but it still doesn't make any sense. But let's get into it. So we continue off of Goku fighting Merge Zamasu from last week, the beam struggle. And even though the animation was on point here, this was the first takeaway from the episode for me. The fact that Goku could overpower Zamasu, it's a bit sketchy to me, whereas Vegeta and Trunks, even though they did overpower the same blast, they didn't really do any damage to Zamasu himself, whereas Goku was able to do it. And the problem with this is that when Goku and Vegeta went back in time to try and figure out a way to beat Zamasu, Goku just practiced a Mafuba. He didn't really train. Of course, he would have gotten a Zenkai boost, but Vegeta was the one that trained. So, by right, Vegeta should be stronger than Goku at this point. So, that was the first negative of the episode for me. Even though it was cool to see, this is the second, how should I put it? Continuing of last week, the beam struggle with Vegeta, Trunks versus Zamasu, the beam struggle here with Goku and Vegeta, it is the next best beam struggle we've got in Super, and I must applaud it. It's pretty good. So, after that, Goku manages to get through Zamasu's attack, and then he goes in, performs this awesome animated combo there, and then Zamasu retaliates, and of course, eventually, Goku finally pulls it out again, the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and we get to see that Goku's Kamehameha is actually what caused half of Zamasu's face to turn purple. So, continuing on, Goku uses the Kaioken, he manages to combo Zamasu into the ground, but of course the Kaioken damages his body, he returns to his base form, and he falls to the ground. Of course, they temporarily retreat to a building, and this is where Zamasu just gets royally pissed off. But I mean, power scaling in this episode, it's just not making much sense, honestly speaking. So, continuing on, Vegeta goes on to theorize that Zamasu can't fully regenerate because he's a fusion that includes the non-immortal Black. So I'm guessing that right side of his body is damaged, but it can't fully regenerate. I'm guessing that would be the case then. So, eventually Zamasu does call on what he calls the light of justice to come to his right hand. So, this is where we see his right hand actually transform into that purple gooey mess. It's a bit weird. So, our heroes continue to theorize that probably the previous attacks they dished out weren't powerful enough to push him over the, as Herms quotes, I quote Herms, and as he says, they can't regenerate limit. But apparently Goku's last attack manages to do this, which, as I said, is sketchy. So we get some scenes of the human characters, especially that boy Haru and that little girl Maki. They're worried about Trunks, and then eventually we skip back over to Goku and Vegeta, where Goku suggests to Vegeta that they should perform fusion. Of course, in usual Dragon Ball style, Vegeta isn't so he doesn't warm up to the idea initially, but of course he doesn't take long to go ahead with it. So Trunks hands both of them a sensu bean. They eat it, they put on the earrings, and bam! This is the moment everyone has been waiting for in this episode. Vegito has arrived. But this is the next interesting part about the episode now. In that, I believe it was Gowasu that's bringing up the point that for non-Kaioshins, the Potara only lasts for an hour. At first, I was gonna, well, say it's a retcon, but when I think about it, it's like one of those things where it was never explicitly stated that, Elder Kai did state it would be permanent, but in Vegeta and Goku's case, it would be the first non-Kaioshin Potara fusion. So in that sense, Elder Kai wouldn't know that it would only last an hour, but apparently Gowasu knows for some reason, which is pretty strange. Well, I don't know, probably he was trained in the arts of Kaioshinship longer than Elder Kai, who knows. But it would explain in the Buu saga that I guess we can take the whole Vegito diffusing within Buu's body because of the properties of his body, and just say his time actually really and in fact did just run out and he defused. So I guess in that case it's a good thing Buu absorbed him before the time ran out. And to add to that, it's kind of like one of those things, like for example, since Toriyama did like that 10-year time skip, and it was never explicitly stated that, you know, they had 10 years apiece and now we can fit in Super. So, but in the case of the Potara, it was never explicitly stated that, you know, for non-Kaioshins it would only last an hour. That and the fact it's never been tried on non-Kaioshins. So it's kind of like a retcon, but not really a retcon, if you get what I'm saying. So I don't really see a problem with that. But okay, getting back to it. So Vegeta gives his standard intro. I guess he's neither Kakarot nor Vegeta. He's Vegito. And then, wow, sorry for the noise in the background, people. But yeah, so Vegeta goes Super Saiyan Blue, which is pretty epic. And then Zamasu goes rambling on about blah blah, gods are better, and all that nonsense. And this is what I found funny. Vegeta just punched him in the face right away. He's not having none of that shit. And then I don't know, I just found that part pretty funny. So Vegeta he doesn't give a damn about what Zamasu is saying. And then Zamasu gets back up, they go at it, we get this awesome animated scene of Vegito versus Merge Zamasu. They're going in, they seem evenly matched, and then eventually we get this scene of them colliding, them punching together, and then this is where we see Zamasu managing to, I guess, uppercut Vegito, and it seems to actually hurt him. But not anything too critical, but based on how they portrayed that scene, it felt like he really did feel that one. So he punches Vegito. Vegito rolls over, I guess not pretend to be dead, but he pretends he's like kind of down and out for the count. And as Zamasu was about to finish him off, Vegeta pulls out the Spirit Sword. You know, I mean, everyone expected that. I mean, Zamasu's using a sword. Of course, the animators and the creators over at Toei wouldn't miss this chance for Vegeta to use the Spirit Sword again. So Vegeta asks, "What? Does it hurt? I thought you were immortal." So since of course he gained Vegeta is still the combination of Goku and Vegeta, of course the knowledge and theories that, you know, Goku and Vegeta have theorized early in this episode passed over to Vegito. So Vegeta asks, "You aren't immortal anymore, haven't you realized?" Apparently he hadn't. But I wouldn't say he's not immortal, it's just that he can't really regenerate as well anymore since Black's part of the fusion, obviously, and he's not immortal. So Zamasu, I believe at this point, Vegito goes on to, I guess, chastise Zamasu that, yes, he's a Kaioshin that hates mortals, but yet he needs the power of a mortal to essentially carry out his plan. So Zamasu says this is what he wanted. Though mortal, Goku had power surpassing a god, so he wanted that power for himself.
And then he goes on talking more about purifying the world, and Goasu goes on to theorize that his form now is a reflection of his internal conflict, you know, in the half purple, half green. Even though I'm not sure what conflict that Zamasu will be having internally at this point, since he's fully committed to this plan of destroying humanity. So after this, we switch over to Trunks, where Mai gives him his sword, and we get this kind of cool scene where Trunks channels his ki throughout the sword. It kind of reminded me of Naruto, like Sasuke doing some Shidori blade. So I guess a nice little reference to that there. But yeah, so eventually Zamasu powers up even more, but Vegito still has the advantage here. And just about, I wouldn't say Vegeta was about to finish him off, but Vegeta was doing pretty damn good. He even fired the final Kamehameha, which was pretty damn epic. And it's at this point after that when Zamasu was trying to fly out of the block. Well, he gets hit and then he flies out. Zamasu Vegeta instant transmissions over to him, and he's about to punch him again. And then he defuses, and then Zamasu just hits away Goku and Vegeta. So damn. I think introducing the concept of non-Kaioshins, the Potara only working for an hour, it was a way for the writers to make Trunks still the relevant character in this last few sequences of this arc, I suppose. So I guess they just couldn't have Vegeta finishing him off, but oh well. So Trunks gets into the fray, and this was the next part of the episode. I'm saying is that this is cool and all, but this isn't making much sense. So Trunks powers up. He's going in and fight Zamasu, which makes no sense. I don't see how Trunks is powerful enough to even compete with Merge Zamasu at this point. So that's the second negative. And then like thirdly, like at some point the human characters start lighting up and everybody's believing in Trunks essentially. And it's at this point that this sphere of energy forms over Trunks, and I'm like, that's the spirit bomb. I'm like, Goku, where you at, bro? And surprisingly, it wasn't Goku. So apparently Trunks notes that it's the light of everyone on Earth's ki, which I guess like a sword spirit bomb, which it makes no sense. Like it's cool, but it's just stupid, because it's like they're saying Trunks, like subconsciously or whatever you want to put it, manages to pull off a spirit bomb. But it's just stupid, honestly. I mean, the animation and the action is cool, but it was just stupid, honestly. And then what makes it even dumber is that how is it, there aren't much humans left? How is the energies gathered able to even put a dent in Zamasu? So like it makes no sense to me, but I'll get back to that. So Trunks manages to fend off Zamasu, he stabs him, and of course because Trunks apparently has so much power now, it bypasses Zamasu's regeneration limit, as I mentioned earlier, similar with Goku and Vegito. So after that, Trunks basically chastises, chews out Zamasu and his stupid conception of justice, and then he stabs him again and finishes slicing him in half, and that's your episode. Based on the next episode preview, it would seem that the arc will be coming to an end. So on a scale of garbage, meh, okay, good, great, I don't know, excellent, I'd say it is which is somewhere between good and great. As in the action, the choreography, yeah, the tension, it's there. We got some awesome beam struggles, but as I said, it's still not episode 39. And I've been a Dragon Ball fan for a long time, but if there's garbage to be pointed out, I'm gonna point it out. I'm gonna be really objective here, people. This is between a good and a great episode, but power scaling wise, it makes no sense. So let me just go back over the negatives. One, and probably how I'm going to suggest how they should have done it. So the first negative, Goku being able to overpower Merge Zamasu versus, and actually damage him, because don't get twisted, people, Vegeta and Trunks combined, they were able to overpower Zamasu's blast, but they didn't damage him in the slightest. Goku not only overpowered him, but damaged him as well past his regeneration limits, while taking into consideration that when he and Vegeta went back, he didn't train per se. He got a Zenkai, but he just went and practiced the Mafuba, and Vegeta himself trained. So to me, that's making no sense. It would have made more sense if in that instance, that's where he should have pulled off the Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue. That would have made so much more sense, even though it would still be debatable, but it would make more sense, if you get what I'm saying. Because to me, even with a Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue, is like the power Potara Fusion, it shouldn't be able to... Goku at this point shouldn't be able to damage Zamasu at all, even with a Kaioken times 10. But it would have made it more reasonable, if you get what I'm saying. So, moving past that, as I mentioned before, the whole them kinda retconning, slightly introducing the concept of non-Kaioshins, the Potara Fusion only lasting an hour, it's not really a problem per se. Because even though in the Buu Saga, Elder Kai did mention that it would be a permanent fusion, Elder Kai himself had no experience with the Potara Fusion where non-Kaioshins are concerned. So it's like the writer, Toriyama himself has set up a situation where he can introduce a concept without it really negatively affecting something that's already established, really. So in that case, it's not really a retcon. And as I mentioned before, I compared it to the fact that they had the 10-year time skip in between, Kid Buu and the end of Z, where it wasn't explicitly stated that they had 10 years apiece. So them introducing all this shit that's going down in Super, it doesn't really necessarily contradict anything. So that I didn't really find to be much of a problem. I found it surprising, and I found it as a way for them to actually still make Trunks relevant in this final scene here. But yeah, so that wasn't much of a problem. But moving on to that last set of negatives I mentioned, Trunks pulling off the fact that Trunks can even fight Merge Zamasu, it makes no sense to me. I know this is his arc and all of that, but this is just garbage. Like, the plain and simple, it makes no sense. How can Trunks compete with someone that can basically almost fight on par with Super Saiyan Blue Vegito? It's stupid. It's stupid. I know I'm really rambling on here, and this review, I guess you could probably even call it a rant at this point, is getting pretty lengthy, but I really have to point all of this out. So the Spirit Bomb sword, it makes no sense.
Garbage.
Yes. My friend here is here listening to my review, and he agrees with me. It makes no sense. But I mean, it was still a climactic fight. It was good seeing Vegito again, even though it was short. But all in all, it's between a good and a great. It was a good episode. The action was on point. The animation and the character models was good. But yes, that's all for me. I don't know, I may do further videos on this episode because it's crazy. Really, this is even my longest review. I'm what, 20 minutes in? This is insane. But all in all, this arc is ending. It's been one hell of a suspense, crazy ride. At the end of the day, I should do a arc review pointing out the problems with this arc, but this is Sanjay Uchiha I hope you enjoyed this crazy review. I hope you were looking forward to it, to hear my opinion on this episode. And I hope subscribe, comment. I really want to hear opinions on this one. Share your comments, your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Oh God, Sanjay Uchiha out, people.